Good morning, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is Tuesday, January 12th, or Wednesday, January 13th, if you're in Australia, New Zealand. The moon is in Capricorn today, and we're in the dark of the moon, meaning that the moon is moving closer and closer to the sun. And we have a very, very powerful new moon. Actually, in some places, it is today. Here on the east coast of the U.S., the new moon occurs at 12 midnight. So it's actually officially tomorrow here for the new moon. Let's talk about what's going on today first. And then I'll talk a little bit about the new moon. If you want information on this very intense week, if you want information, more detailed information, check out my This Week in Astrology. I go over the astrology in detail and do a card reading as well. Today we have Mercury making a square to Uranus. Uranus is very active at this time, and we can certainly feel that in the air. Uranus is an archetype of individuation. It is an archetype of rebellion, of breaking free from the old and awakening to the new. We do have a awareness here about some things that are very, very old that are back up in the consciousness of folks, and it is time to work within that. Once you're aware of something, right, you have to deal with it. So more and more people are getting aware, and we will deal with it in the intervening months and years here. Mercury is in Aquarius. Uranus is in Taurus. Of course, Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius. And so Mercury is being disposited by Uranus, which it is squaring. This is a last quarter crisis in consciousness square. So we're dealing with rebellious energy in a rebellious aspect. Mercury is our lower mind. It's how we make sense of our life. It's how we take in information. It's how we process information. When there's a square to Uranus, Uranus being the higher mind, we are challenged by higher-minded ideals or higher vibrational ideas. Please watch your nervous system today. This is the type of aspect that can put a lot of strain on it. So there is a lot of tension, especially if you're going to be watching the news. I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm saying if you find yourself getting overly tense, or if you find that you're watching some sort of repetitive thing, I would suggest that you shut the television off or the computer, or take a walk, or listen to some of those binaural beats, whatever you have to do to calm down. It's important to keep your mind free of clutter so that when the higher self or the higher mind speaks to you, you can hear it. So there's that. We also have a square between Venus and Chiron today. Venus is now in Capricorn. So Venus, the planet of values, what's important to us, is in a traditional sign of Capricorn. Sometimes Venus in Capricorn can be sort of fixated on the past, or the way things should be or could be, or shoulda, coulda, woulda. But Venus in Capricorn is also a very responsible position. Venus in Capricorn loves, I don't know if they love responsibility as much as they understand it and they respect it. Venus in Capricorn loves respect. And of course, we have a square to Chiron in Aries. And Chiron is, the wild man. Chiron was half beast. He was a centaur who had the body of a horse and the upper body of a man. he was able to overcome his lower self, but he was one of the few, if not only, centaurs that actually could do that. Most of his other buddies were a bunch of drunkards and caused an awful lot of problems back in the old days in Greece. So Chiron and Aries, the wounded masculine, we see it. We saw it on the 6th. We continue to see it. Unbridled aggression, narcissism. This is my house. This is my right to, go into a building and mess it up. And, this is the group of people who complain about the looters and the people who burn shit down. Skibibbles. Anyway, on that note, so there is a square between Venus, which really wants to help and wants to create structures for help, and then of course we can find that perhaps the Chiron and Aries is not willing to listen, or is close to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that things can't happen. I think that we have to think outside of the box in this situation, and so there are things that we can do, and I think there are things that we have to look at in a different way, or apply different ways of dealing with the issues that we are finding ourselves mired in, because the old ways aren't necessarily going to work. So I'm going to let you guys go. I know I've been prattling here for a while. I'm looking for a good perspective. I gave the birds some new. Oh, here they come. Now they're starting to gather around the bird feeder. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bunch of blue jays. But because I'm standing here, they're not coming down to the feeder. So it's the problem when you try to get pictures of the feeder with the birds. Well, anyway, I gave them some new food. So oh, there's one. The first one comes, the second one. They all come. They all make sure it's safe. And he's the scout. He's going to eat it first. All right, guys. So we also have a sextile to Neptune today of the moon. That helps to bring some sweetness, some softness, some compassion into the fray. We do have the full moon. The new moon. The new moon is conjunct Pluto. It's a very powerful new moon. There's all kinds of things happening besides the new moon tomorrow, including a trine to Venus from Uranus, and Mars square Saturn. I think tomorrow they're going to come up with the impeachment thing in the United States. So we'll see what that is. But I think that's the Mars-Saturn first quarter crisis in action square. And with Saturn in Aquarius, I think it's a push forward to push against the abuses of power. So, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, guys, like, subscribe. Love you very much. Take care. Have a great day. Be careful out there. The energy is very erratic. People are angry. They got things on their mind. They're not paying attention. Just be careful. This is actually and I'm not usually one to talk about, the negative stuff or super negative or scare anybody, but please, please, please be careful out there. It is not safe, actually, especially if you're in a large city. You happen to be in Washington, whatever it is. Just be circumspect. Be circumspect. Be aware. All right, guys. I was going to say, I think a squirrel just went in my feeder, but nope, they're all blue jays. All right, guys, like, subscribe. Much love.